and the schools and all the local areas where people have trust that.
I think that would help out, and the community advisory boards being on every study that's done to make sure that those things that are being done are on the up and up.
A lot of people go in, and this is certainly true for physicians, go in with a sense, we have something to give you. Well, that's open to question.
And that means that the scientists have to slow down and really listen and take time and try and put themselves in the shoes of somebody else.
You just can't send the white-collar worker, you know, to the ghetto, to the abandoned houses, and think that they're going to get any type of response, because they're not.
It's just like now. 3 people since y'all been here have came to this barbershop and asked me, what them white people doing out there?
For the government to make this thing work, they would have to come to people like Vic, the people in the community who are actually in the community, and try to get them to speak for them.
Well, the Italian word is cicerone, a guide. You have to have somebody who gets you in, somebody who can vouch for you. After that, it's all on you.
It would really come down to who asked me and how they asked.
Enséñame en español, hazme un video en español, hazme un folleto en español, un formulario en español. Ponme a alguien que me entreviste en español, alguien que me diga en mi idioma.
You have to take a number of cultural aspects into it. What is accessible? What does that mean in Spanish? It's not accesible. It's not just one word for another word. There are a couple of concepts that need to be, if not translated, that need to be interpreted.
Because they would just like nod their heads to the doctor, being very respectful, honoring what the doctor is saying or the researcher is saying, but not really understanding a single word that they said.
There's a lot of people that just want to help, and that's why they do it. But there's some people that, you know, a good amount of people that money or some kind of incentive, vouchers for something, definitely helps them make that decision.
You're going to have something even to draw them in the door.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
and nothing, and you see, and nothing is going to draw them like $1.
I think the best way they can relate is like something like this, where they're offering a practical service or practical information.
It definitely will encourage people to participate, whether that is an HIV test or some kind of counseling.
There's a risk, however, if you incorporate too many services, healthcare services, with a preventative vaccine study, that you become coercive in nature, that the benefits of participating way outweigh the risk.
In '92, I was part of the GP 120 study. We went through a process of informed consent, and at that point, I understood it, or I thought I understood it. I wish I would have had some time to, like, you know, think about this, read this over, talk amongst your friends about it, and then come back in a month.
People need to know the background before they ever come in to do informed consent. They need to know what a clinical trial is. They need to know why they have to be big. They need to know what the ethical problems are. They need to know what the risks of being in a vaccine trial are before they come into a clinic and hear about a specific trial of a specific product.
This, you know, a discussion group, this is much more interesting than like just sitting, you know, and talking with, you know, like a counselor or something. This, you get sort of a different take on. It's funny, it's comforting to me to know that everyone's has equal reservations about even doing this. It's like, okay, so this is not me just being sort of freaked out about this. This is kind of freaky thinking about doing this.
The problem I have is an ethical problem. If we're going to ask people to use a vaccine without asking them to do some very serious preventive measure to protect themselves from the disease, then I think we really stand on risky ground.
They're taking out the high-risk group, us those things. Now, we've been spending all this time telling people, be careful, be careful. Well, how are they going to get the result? Know that this thing is working. What are we going to do? Tell people, oh, well, never mind being careful since you're on the vaccine. Forget taking precautions?
Risk reduction counseling, you know, individuals lowering their risk of exposure to HIV is going to be paramount in conducting vaccine trials, because we know the nature of the beast is that people are more likely to increase their risk potentially if they think they're protected against HIV. So not only are people going to need the standard counseling that everybody gets when they go and get tested for HIV, but we're going to need to make sure we point this out to them that they're probably by nature be thinking they're more apt, they could take more risks.
People might end up missing the fact that they've become infected and assume, oh, it's just my old vaccine antibody that's out there. So unless, the vaccine research, the trials commit to following up and caring for these volunteers literally for the rest of their lives, there's a real danger that they're going to do them a disservice.
A lot of the thought process around all of this is very, very short-sighted. Not thinking of what's going to be needed in the long term.
I believe that we're going to have a series of trials in order to get a really good vaccine. And that means maybe decades of work. And it certainly means not just cherry picking the people who are interested in being in a vaccine trial.
If you burn a community once in a city, I'm sure that it's going to take a lot more money and a lot more resources to bring those people back or to bring similar people back into the fold again.
I would expect progress reports. I would expect people from the local community to be very involved from all levels and disciplines.
Researchers need to involve the community in the final data analysis. What does the data actually say before it's actually published into the community? And more importantly, how is this data going to be used in the future? How does the community benefit out of this?
I want to know everything. I want to know when you know. I don't want no secrets.
People clearly do not have enough information about HIV, about AIDS, and certainly vaccines.
And not in jargon, not in medical jargon, but in real, layman's terms about what they know, what is known, and what is not known, and be honest.
Don't BS anybody. Just be real no matter what the reality is. And it might work.
People believe their friends anecdotally more than they believe the medical profession.
Like they said it was a mosquito. You could catch it from a mosquito bite. Then I find out you can't catch it from a mosquito bite. It's so much talk about it that people don't know that scares me.
You heard him say the thing about the 2 weeks, so you trust him saying that the 2 weeks. And me, I know the thing about being testing positive is no big deal because I would know that there's another test that you can take. And everybody's hearing different snippets of the information that you tell us.
It's supposed to prevent us from getting.
So we're gonna be immunized forever for AIDS, right?
They're not sure.
That's right. They're not sure.
So they're doing tests on us.
That's right. That's what the research is all about.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the government to try to patch the relationship, it has to be the same way you would patch any relationship. There has to be an apology. There has to be a period of time of healing without another act being done or something else being, to muddy the waters.
Be honest with people, even if it's not what, it don't turn out the way you want it to turn out, you still have to be honest with people. When they ask you questions about things, tell them the truth, Don't build it up or dress it up to suit your situation, you know what I'm saying? And they're not very good at that. They're not very good at that. And until I can see improvement in that, I'm not volunteering for anything.
Go ahead with your work. Come and meet us. Don't think that, we're unapproachable, because that's a myth. Just like we believe scientists are unapproachable, and that's a myth also. We'd like to work together with you in a way that, comes up with a successful vaccine. And I think we can do it, but we gotta just trust each other and not be afraid of our ignorance.